Hello, thanks for being here. Welcome. I am sitting here on a Friday night recording ostensibly my first YouTube video, and I'm really pleased to be here and to lean into this a little bit. I am. I suppose I'll explain who I am a little bit first, and then get into what I'm doing and what I'm hoping to share. So, my name is Holly. I am a 36-year-old person. um, I have a really great job that I really enjoy, a very creative job in its own right. The reason that I'm leaning into this, or that I've had this idea, is that while my job is creative, it's creative for its own purposes and its own projects. And I do have a certain amount of creative output in my own personal life, but I would really love to amplify that a little bit, make it a little bit more forward facing, a little bit more public facing, I suppose, but not in the sense of trying to get a load of followers. And like, I'm not really into, putting stuff up online to get a huge following or anything like that. I think what I want to do is build a portfolio to a certain extent, or something that allows me to work on the things that I'm passionate about and give myself a little bit of structure, but also something that by its foundation gives me the drive and the sort of excuse to make it public. That it can kind of be hard to make that leap sometimes. So that's what this is. That's what this is about. That's what this is. And what this is I am hoping to do a couple of things, I suppose. I like game a good bit. I really love Stardew Valley, for example. I think it'd be really cool to like get on Twitch and stream myself playing Stardew, but I wanted to start somewhere a little bit more accessible to me first. So what I've done here is this is the first time I've, recorded a video, so I have like very basic setup. It's not meant to be super shiny. I haven't gone and bought a microphone. I'm sure you can tell, but what I've done is I have collated all of the books in my house. I'm a huge reader. Have a pretty substantial collection of books, both fiction and reference and hobby related. I've collated them all. I've put them into a wheel. I'll show you the wheel for reference, but I will take it back down fairly quickly because it spins, and I don't think, I think it'd be a bit nauseating keeping it there, but this is my wheel with all my books. What I'm going to do is I'm going to spin the wheel, and I am going to obviously, read the book that comes up. But because there's such a disparate collection, and because I want to expand into a bit of a portfolio style attitude to this project, I am hoping to take every selection as inspiration for an additional side project, something small. But for example, if it is a reference book, I might make a presentation on some of the stuff that I've encountered in this whatever I researched during that period. If it is a craft book, well then I have to go make something from that craft. Or music, well then I have to, learn how to play something and sit down and record it and perform it. So it's just about building up skills with, not a huge amount of pressure, but just an impetus to create. This is what I'm doing here. The book collection is really special to me in this moment because I, a couple of years ago, moved country. So I used to live in Ireland, I live in Spain. And I only very, very recently had my full collection shipped over. Like, myself and my partner, very much made the decision that this is where we want to be, and we want to be here on a long-term basis. So we have all of our stuff here, and now I have like my full library, which I haven't had in years. And I keep looking at books and going, oh gosh, like I really can't wait to get back into reading, and it's nearly too much decision. So I thought it'd be great to collate it, and it would be cool to turn that into a bit of a process, and, even just practice being in front of the camera. I don't know if this is where I want to don't know if this format is what I'm going to love doing, but if I don't try, I'll never know. So with all that said, I'm going to spin the wheel. I'll grab whatever book it is, talk about it a little bit, and think of what might work as a little bit of a project to go alongside it. So, very exciting. Okie dokie. Great. There we go. Oh my god. Very exciting. What's it gonna be? Ooh. Interesting. Okay, gorgeous. So I am going to run and get this book. This was a gift from one of my best friends from her time in Glastonbury, I believe. So I'm going to go grab it and I'm going to be straight back, and I'm sure this is also going to be another skill I don't have right now, but I will do some sort of editing magic to do a transition. So, ooh, here we go. And we're back. So say goodbye to the wheel. Thanks, the wheel. That's great. Okay, I'm going to grab it. I've actually grabbed 2 books, but I will tell you why. So this is the beautiful English Folktales, Watkins Book of English Folktales by Neil Phillip. Now, slight disclaimer, I was kind of hoping not to get too controversial, political. However, the foreword of this book is by Neil Gaiman, who is a person, and I'm sure a lot of us have been here, but I'm a previous fan of Neil Gaiman. I'm not a current fan of Neil Gaiman, and I won't be engaging in that section of the book. However, I do have a phenomenal essay from Philip Pullman in the collated essays Demon Voices, which is fabulous. Such a good collection of thoughts on writing, on just all sorts of beautiful things. I really love Philip Pullman. And there is an essay in here that talks about, to my memory, probably quite a similar vibe to what Neil Gaiman gets at in the introduction of this book. We have a equivalent from Philip Pullman. So I will be using that as a jumping off point, as a reference to go through these folktales. And I think in a lot of ways, from what I understand with folktales, there is a certain amount of archetypal stories. And I think that is the benefit of this book, is that it collates a huge amount of them. And I mean, a lot of them would also feature in Irish folklore, and maybe that will be where I perhaps do a little bit of research into where crossovers are. There's obviously a rich history, a rich culture of storytelling in both cultures, and I'm sure a certain amount of crossover. So that's really fascinating. I'm really looking forward to diving in. I don't know yet, and I should have said this before I spun the wheel, but with some of the reference books, they have some very hefty books. And for certainly some of the reference books, I told myself that, look, the last thing I want to do is take on a huge project and then not do it, right? Not finish it and never sees the light of day, because I've told myself I'm going to read every single one of these and it's going to be fantastic. I'm probably going to do a section, like a third or a quarter, depending on, and maybe read a couple and see the pace that I go at and what's sort of reasonable to do within a certain amount of time. If I do that, I won't take the book off the wheel, and the next time it comes around, I can go back to the next section. There's a couple of series in the wheel as well, where I've just put in one book and I'll read the next book in the series. Same with, I have some collections of literary journals, magazines, things like that. So if that comes up, then I just read the next one. So similar to this, I'm going to read a section of these folktales, and I don't know what I'm going to do yet as a companion, but it's going to come to me, and I'm excited. There's a lot to folktales and fairy tales, and and I'm like, I mean, how beautiful is this book? It's such a gorgeous gift. So I'm actually so excited to have that as the first of hopefully many. And look, thank you for being here. This is by and large an effort to do something that I think is very important, which is kind of caring for your mental health. For me, this is an effort to do something with my time that's not scrolling, that is, active and has a purpose and kind of just keeps me on a good level. I think it's nice to have a reason to do your hobbies. I'm not about like monetizing everything I do. I don't want to turn my hobbies into my work, but I do want to have a reason to do them outside of just, I kind of want to do this today, because that's not always enough for me, for my brain. So thank you for being here. Sorry if the quality is a bit, unprofessional. As I said, it's my first time. My focus was really just to finish work, put this together, get it out, and go from there. So thank you for your patience, and I will be back with a review and project on the Watkins book of English Folktales by Neil Phillip. Thanks. Bye.